Welcome to our online info session for Ashton College's Certificate in Accounting program. We're happy to have you joining us, whether it's through our Zoom webinar, our live Facebook stream, or our on-demand YouTube video. Welcome to you all. I'm Jake Cressy from Ashton's Marketing and Communications Department. I'm joined today by Rita from the Admission Department, Maria, who will be working in the background, and of course, our Certificate in Accounting instructor, Dilip. Dilip, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you, Jake. Thank you.
Excellent. It's good to hear. Now, just some housekeeping before we get underway. We're going to have an open Q&A section near the end of this live stream where you can submit your questions for Dilip to answer. If you're with us on Zoom, you can use the raise hand function, or you can simply type your question into the chat box. If you're on Facebook, you can write your questions in the comments section and we'll be sure to take a look at them. If you have a very specific question, or if we don't get around to answering it during this session, you can email us at info@ashtoncollege.ca, or you can phone us at 604-891-1249. We also have a toll-free number, which is 1-866-759-6006. Now, to start things off, Dilip, I'd like to ask you to tell us a bit about your experience, your educational background, and what brought you to teaching with Ashton College.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Jake, this afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll start with my educational background. So I'm basically a chartered accountant from India. I also have a bachelor's degree from the University of Alberta. So that's as far as the education part is concerned. As far as the professional experience, I worked as a controller. Now, controller is basically a fancy word for head of accounting department. So I worked as a controller in Canada for 7 years. And prior to coming to Canada, I worked as the regional financial controller in Dubai for the Middle East region, handling 4 countries.
Excellent. That's quite a lot of experience. Now, let's start talking about the program itself. Who would benefit the most from taking this program?
Right. Basically, anybody who's thinking of, has read something about accounting and wants to start or get a feel of what is accounting. They probably read something about it, but what does it actually involve? So I think the program that Ashton College offers is an excellent one because it's part-time. It can be done over a short period of time, and it gives a good feel of what the future is in the accounting field.
Okay, and now, for example, if you're an internationally trained accountant, maybe somebody from like India or the United States, anywhere else, would they benefit from taking this to learn Canadian accounting?
It's a very good question, Jake. I think they definitely would, because although accounting is universal, there are some things that are specific to every country. So in Canada, you have obviously the income tax. Then you have something called the ASPE, which is the Canadian, the accounting standards for private enterprise, which is unique to Canada for private companies. And obviously, there's also the exposure to the software that is frequently used in the Canadian business space. So taking this course gives you a wonderful experience to the Canadian income tax, the auditing standards, and software that is used in Canada.
Excellent. Now, what is the general structure of this program? What are some of the main topics you're going to be covering?
Right. So this program basically covers subjects such as financial accounting, cost accounting, basic income tax and payroll, computerized accounting, and auditing. So we start off with financial accounting, which is the backbone basically of the accounting profession. What is a debit? What is a credit? What is a financial statement? Any transaction, how is that analyzed in terms of recording in the books of accounts? So that background is very useful, and you use that in cost accounting, you use that in income tax, in payroll, in the cost accounting, and in auditing.
Excellent. So can you tell us a bit about your teaching style?
Right. Now, the teaching style sort of depends on the background. So I normally get a sense of the background of the students because it's important to have everybody on the same page. Now, people generally have the educational background obviously may not be accounting. So you need to make sure that your teaching style gets everybody on the same page. And the way I teach is there's the theory component, but you have to make it interesting. You have to make it practical. So the way you do it is to solve examples. Could be real life examples, or actual problems in class so that you're connecting the theory to the practice.
Right. So you mentioned that you have sort of an individualized approach. How many people generally enroll in one of these programs? What's the size of the class?
So basically it can vary from 10 to 15, and I've seen students joining from Ontario. So, there is a keen interest in our program. And like I said, because of the flexibility, that's one of the biggest draws of this program.
Right. So not only flexible, but with a classroom that size, there is time for you to have a little bit of one-on-one with each student if they need that sort of help.
Definitely, definitely. In fact, Ashton emphasizes to the instructors and to the students that you have to make time available outside the class hours. If the students have, for example, difficulty in an assignment, normally assignments and quizzes are to be done outside of the class hours. So I would often get emails asking for certain clarifications. So the good thing about Ashton is the instructors are very flexible and are always willing to help, because you have to understand the students normally are also in a full-time job. So they are trying to balance the work and the study part. So at Ashton, I believe the instructors, I feel, go out of their way to help the students.
Excellent. So you've told us a lot about the instructors. What are your expectations of the students who enroll in this course? How much time are they going to spend on assignments, tests, studying, reviewing material outside of the class?
Right. That's a good question, Jake. Now, I have to be honest. I don't want to sugarcoat things. It's an introductory course, and accounting tends to be technical. So that effort has to come from the students. Now, it's normally 2 hours. The classroom length is 2 hours a day, depending, maybe 2 or 3 weeks. But the students are expected to spend between 15 and 20 hours trying to read up on the material, trying to read up on the chapter before they come to class, so that the time in class is spent in an effective manner. So the effort has to come from the students. But as instructors, we are always there, willing to clarify and help with their doubts.
Okay, excellent. Now you mentioned reading ahead on chapters. Is there a specific textbook for this course?
There are, yes. For each of the course, we have textbooks. The students generally get the ebook, and then we also share the slides, which is published by the publisher of the book. And then there is questions, assignments, and even questions for discussions. So the students basically, I think a week prior to the course, they do get the code for the ebook, which allows them to prepare for the class.
Okay, excellent. And you mentioned some presentation slides. Are those available to students after the presentation in class, or is it exclusively in the classroom?
Good point. Yes, no. So after we've gone through the slides, after we've solved certain examples in the class, the slides and any material that has been used in the classroom is for the benefit of the students, and it is sent to the students immediately after class.
Excellent. That's good to hear. Now, the course outline itself mentions 2 specific accounting software applications. That's Sage 50 and QuickBooks. Could you tell us a little bit about both of these and let us know if one is more frequently used in the industry?
Sure. So QuickBooks and Sage. Now, basically, they are similar, but they're not same. So what is the difference? Now, QuickBooks is extremely user-friendly. It is mainly an accounting and a bookkeeping software, and it is meant keeping in mind that the user has no accounting background. So that's a big USP of QuickBooks. Sage is a progression. Sage is more cloud-based, and it is more for project management. Having said that, learning QuickBooks gives you the advantage of then learning similar software such as Sage. And between the two, the small and medium-sized companies would tend to use QuickBooks because they also have the online version and the cloud-based version. But having said that, if you master these two software, which is taught by Ashton, I think you have a very good chance of basically being a good candidate in the job market.
Okay, so is QuickBooks easier to learn than Sage, or are they both about the same?
No, I'll be fair. QuickBooks is very easy to learn. It is prepared with the fact that the user has very little accounting background. So they may not use technical terms like debit or credit, and they try to make it as user-friendly as possible. So QuickBooks is very easy to learn. Okay. So between the two, yes, there is a difference in the learning curve.
Right. Now, one of the learning objectives mentioned in the course is to familiarize students with the basic accounting fundamentals for managing both a personal/service type business and a merchandising business. Can you explain what these two businesses are and what the difference is from an accounting
Sure,
perspective?
sure, I'll do that. Yes. So as you rightly mentioned, there are two main businesses. Actually, there's a third one too, but the two main ones are, like you said, the service and the merchandising. So we'll start with merchandising. What is merchandising? In that form of business, you're basically buying products and selling it. Say you may have a clothing store, or you may have a store that sells cell phones. You're basically buying at a certain cost and selling it, and the difference would be your profit. But the item that you purchase now is not a cost. That is basically an inventory, right? So it's important for students to realize that what is the difference between, say, a cost or expense versus an asset, right? So you have an inventory item, which is an asset, which is for merchandising companies. Now, in a service companies, there is no product you're selling. The thing you're selling is labor cost. So what's a service company? A service company could be an accounting service, a legal service, a medical firm, a cleaning service, or somebody who's offering carpet cleaning, for example. Those would be good examples of a service type of business.
Okay, and you also mentioned a third type of business. Could you talk about that briefly?
Sure. So the third type of business is what is called the manufacturing company. So basically, for example, now to put this in perspective, Walmart would be a classic example for merchandising, but they do not make the soap or the detergents in their store. They buy it from somebody. So it's Procter and Gamble or Lever or other big pharmaceutical company, or sorry, other chemical and industrial companies that make these products. So manufacturing company actually makes the product from scratch.
Okay, and so how do the accounting needs vary for these three different types of businesses?
Right. The service type of business would be the simplest because you have a very homogeneous product, which is labor hours. Now you may have different categories of labor in your organization, and the rates for them would be different. But it's the simplest form because your main product is labor hours. You're billing by the hour. Then what increases in complexity slightly is the merchandising, because now you have a product, you're buying it. Like I said, it is not your expense till you sell it. So when you buy it, it becomes your asset. And how do you value assets? Now there are different rules in accounting as how do you value assets, or how do you value your closing stock, right? So there is some degree of complexity, but nothing too complex about it. But as we go up, we have the manufacturing companies, which are obviously very complex because, as you know, manufacturing involves many functions, right from purchasing the products, right to basically the plants where the various materials are combined to form another product. How do you value the raw materials? How do you value what is called a work in progress? WIP is a component in manufacturing companies where the product is neither your raw material nor your finished goods. How do you account for that in terms of accounting entries? So you have the raw materials, the WIP, which is work in progress, and finished goods. So manufacturing companies are obviously very complex in their structure, and obviously in the accounting too.
Okay, excellent. And so this program will teach you how to do accounting for each one of these styles of businesses?
Definitely, because what is important, Jake, is your concepts of accounting, right? So given any transaction, I'll start with the basic. You're paying rent. What are the two accounts involved? It's rent account and your bank account, right? Or you're billing somebody. What are the two accounts involved? It'll be your accounts receivable and revenue. So knowing this concept, which is very well explained in our courses in the financial accounting and in the cost accounting, students get a good understanding of the basic concepts, and then everything else builds on. And no doubt, even when they join the workforce, there will be some degree of learning, but having the basic concepts is the key to success.
Right. Now, speaking of those concepts, another term mentioned in the program is double entry accounting. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. So double entries accounting basically means that there will be a debit and a credit. Now these terms basically come from Latin. Debit is debitum, which means what is due, and credit comes from the word creditum, which means something that is entrusted to another person or a loan. So in short, any entry, the total of the debit side would equal the total of the credit side, right? Like I said, accounting tends to be technical. So there are certain rules you have to be very familiar with. You have to know it as if they're in the back of your hand. But once you're familiar with the rules, and one of the rules would be the debits will always equal the credits, right? And there could be minimum of 2 accounts involved in any transaction. Like I gave you an example, when somebody pays rent, you have the cash account involved and the rent account involved, right? You could have a minimum of 2 where the debit will equal the credit, but you could have multiple accounts involved in a single transaction. It's called a compound entry. But the fundamental principle is the debits will always equal the credits in any transaction.
Okay, excellent. So the course description also talks about mastering accounting techniques for both manual and computerized environments. So what are some important things to keep in mind for these 2 different environments?
Sure. Over the years, yes, definitely computerization has, affected every aspect of business and personal life, and accounting has been no exception. In fact, accounting has seen a dramatic impact due to computerization. Obviously, the benefits are there because it takes care of the arithmetic errors. See, accounting deals with numbers. Now it's human to make errors, and sometimes these errors are not detected by the manual systems. Having said that, the concept between the manual system and the accounting system is that you need to know the fundamental principles of accounting. Your concept should be clear. Computerization is basically a tool that enables you to speed things up and remove some of the drudgery. Right? Accounting is laborious, is time consuming. So computerization removes some of the drudgery. It speeds things up. It does the arithmetic for you. So you're not basically sitting there in Excel and trying to figure out or using your calculator. But knowing your concepts, whether it's manual or whether it's computerized, that's the easy part. Right? Like I said, computer is just another tool.
Right. So this program is accredited by the Canadian Bookkeepers Association, or CBA. Can you tell us more about the association and what that accreditation means?
Sure. So Canadian Bookkeepers Association is basically a non-profit organization. It's been in Canada for many, many years. And getting a certification from this association definitely gives Ashton College the credibility that this program is of high quality and that basically it is in demand. It's been vetted by the Canadian Bookkeepers Association. So students sometimes wonder whether this certificate would have some degree of validity wherever they go in Canada. Could it be in BC? Is it Alberta? Is it Saskatchewan? Or is it Ontario? But Canadian Bookkeepers Association is a Canadian organization which has vetted our program and found our program to meet their quality standards. So any student who's doubting or contemplating, this should give them some degree of basically a sense of a sense that this certificate is reliable and has the validity.
Excellent. Now, what do you think students will like the most about this program?
One of the key aspects, there's several. I'll start out with the fact that Ashton College has been in the business for many, many years. So it has the credibility and the backing. Number 2, it's offered online. So students or even working professionals who maybe are thinking of switching careers, and this course is offered in the mornings and in the evenings. So a working professional should have no problem enrolling for this course. And number 3, it's short term. Some of these programs go for 3 or 4 months. So it's short amount of investment from your time, but I think the benefits are immense.
That's excellent. Now, are there any other benefits to online besides just the flexibility of it?
I think the flexibility is key because you're saving time, you're saving effort, and time is the biggest resource for working professionals. And I give you an example where I found students in Ontario who were 3 hours ahead taking this course, and I could really appreciate the effort they were taking. So time is up now. If these students had to go to a campus from their work and then go home, imagine how inconvenient that would be. So I think the online aspect, along with the strength of the faculty, Jake, you have to understand, when students are shopping around, they need to also go to our website, find out about the experience of our faculty, and that would give them some sense of satisfaction.
Excellent. So what kind of job opportunities will be available for students who graduate from this program?
Right. So it would be entry level. So generally the designations would be the accounting clerk or the accounting technician. But having said that, it's a foot in the door. I think with this course, it gives you a start, right? You have to start somewhere, and with the knowledge, you'll be able to apply confidently to businesses, and then that's where you show your skill, your basically your enthusiasm and your determination, and hopefully the employer recognizes that, and you build on that experience.
Okay. And what are the opportunities for advancement with these entry-level positions? Does it take a long time to advance? Is it a steady ladder? What is it like?
It depends, Jake, on the industry and where you are in Canada. But like I said, having said that it's an entry-level job, again, if you're able to prove to the employer that you're capable of learning more, they may again pay for you to take some more courses in the field that you may want. For example, you've done the accounting. We also have this taxation and payroll. Maybe you have aptitude for payroll. So they may ask, the employer may find you a suitable candidate and pay for your courses, for example, to take a payroll course or some more computerized accounting courses, which may benefit you, but more importantly, will also benefit the employer. So, the opportunities open up once you get your foot in the door, like I said.
Excellent. And so what are your thoughts on the labor market and the current demand for people in this area?
Over the years, I can say it's becoming more a skills-based economy. You have to have 20 years ago, you may not know Excel, you may not know Word, and you may get a decent job. Unfortunately, things are changing. Employers want to see what effort have you taken to upgrade yourself after your basic education, whether it's grade 10 or grade 12. What have you done to improve yourself? And these kind of certificates not only gives you the skill, but tells your potential employer that yes, you're willing to learn, you spend the time, you spend the money, and you've taken the effort, part-time or full-time. And it's definitely something to be proud of. So like I said, these skills, I don't think are an option. They are a necessity in today's environment.
Okay. And so you talked about the industry changing a little bit. What have been the most major change during your time in the industry?
I would say it's definitely got more competitive, right? You need to have some form of a formal certificate even to get the first call. Your resume may have a lot of good points. You may have the experience, but people are looking for some kind of formal certification. Are you familiar with Excel? Are you familiar with Word? What is it that jumps out and tells them, oh, they don't have to test your knowledge again in certain aspects? Yeah, you've done accounting, but have you taken a formal course that endorses those skills? So I think the move towards, like I said, a skills-based economy, some kind of formal certification, we are going towards that. And with COVID, people being online, yes, the push is more towards some kind of online, work from home, etc. But again, to work from home, you are relying on some kind of online support system. So you need to be familiar with some of the tools.
Of course. Now, how much can our students expect to make after graduating from the program?
That's a tough question, Jay, because it can vary due to the minimum wage in every province, right? But having said that, there is a demand for accountants, be it entry level or accountants with a few years of experience. You just have to look at various sites, be it Indeed, be it LinkedIn, be it Monster, to get a sense that there are jobs, there are opportunities for basically people in accounting.
Okay, now you mentioned the minimum wage. Are all entry-level positions for accountants minimum wage, or is there a variance?
No, I would say you would start off higher than the minimum wage. So if say minimum wage is 15, my educated guess would be you'd be starting close to around 18 to $19 an hour. But the key takeaway from this, Jake, is I would not so much look at the wage rate as much as the employer giving me the chance to prove myself and get that experience, because that experience is invaluable. In fact, I would encourage students, if they or any participant, try and get a volunteer position, say with YMCA or an accounting firm, right? Regardless of what they're paying you, because that experience is what's going to help you multiply your wage rate in the years to come.
Okay. And aside from a knowledge and experience in accounting principles and practices, what other knowledge and skills are important in this field?
Right. I know every job, they talk about being flexible, being team player, but I've seen it myself, being the head of accounting, how much the team player concept comes into play, because the managing director or the owner wants the financials. He relies on the head of the accounting department. Now the head of the accounting department cannot do all the activities. There are a minimum of 2, 3, or 4 people in the accounting department. One person may look at billing and receivables. Somebody else may look at payables. A third person may look at payroll. The key point is, if these 3 people are not in sync, are not on the same page, I cannot complete my financials. Everybody has to do their bit in a timely manner so that my financials are complete in a given time. So management wants it. And number 2, the bank wants it. If you have taken a loan, the bank is very interested to find out how you did financially, and they want it by a certain date. So like I said, you may be the head of the accounting department, a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, but you are relying on that team effort for everybody to contribute and perform at a professional level. So being a team player, being able to take on more than what you've been assigned, it's a sign that management can rely on you, right? So team player, flexibility. You may have experience in one part of accounting, but when you join, they said, sorry, you may have to start off in this part of accounting. You have to be open to that. So it's what you bring to the table in terms of, other than the knowledge and the skills, the flexibility and the ability to show to management that you're willing to give in that extra 10% or 110% of your effort.
Right. Okay. So in this line of work, what are some of the biggest challenges people face?
Like any, I would say, field, there is a sense of, I would say, burnout after some time, because accounting, let's face it, yes, some people may like it, some people it's the passion, but it can be, you've heard various negative things, that it's very dry, it's very boring, it's very dull. You're basically working, yes, you're working with people, but majority of the time you're just working with numbers. So there can be a sense of burnout in the accounting field, and it's no different from any other field where people have been doing it and they feel that they may not want to do it for the rest of their lives. So that is a challenge, definitely.
Okay. And the question here is, there are a lot of educational paths out there. So why should a student choose to take this specific program with Ashton College rather than one of their competitors?
Right. So like any product or any service, you're trying to, gauge what are the pros and what are the cons. So one of the things that's a big plus for Ashton, it's been in the business for almost 20 years. It has been accredited by the Canadian Bookkeepers Association, right? Then also, like I mentioned earlier, take a look at the faculty who are teaching, see the experience that they have, see the industry experience that they have, because it's obviously that experience is what you're going to benefit from. They may impart some of that knowledge to the potential students. So these are some of the plus points of Ashton. And then, like we discussed earlier, it's very flexible. It's offered online and 3 months. So if somebody is, contemplating, go into all these factors. And I believe y'all can provide sample instructional videos to the students. So maybe anybody interested can sign up and ask for instructional videos, because all our lectures, I forgot to mention this, Jake, if I may,
Yes,
all
please.
our lectures are recorded. This is to help the students who are not able to attend every class, so they can attend the lecture at their own convenience. So as a result, all lectures get recorded. So they can sign up and ask for these some of these lectures to get a sense of what is the level of teaching at Ashton.
Right. Well, that's excellent. We're about to open up the floor for questions from the audience, but before we do that, I'd like to bring Rita on to talk about the admission requirements for this program.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hope everyone's having a good afternoon.
Yes.
Perfect. My name is Rita. I'm the admissions coordinator at Ashton College. My business hours are Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I can always be reached at 604-891-1249 or via email at info@ashtoncollege.ca. And I'd be always happy to answer any of your questions regarding the CA program. I'm here to discuss the admissions requirement for this program. And anyone that has any questions regarding their own case, please feel free to call me or email me. The admission requirements for this program are a minimum of a high school diploma with transcripts, to be 19 years of age at the start of the program, and the English language proficiency test if required. Please visit our policy on admissions on our website. You can see if you are required to do, if you are exempt from the English language proficiency test, or else please do give me a call. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. We have 2 intakes coming up. The first one is right around the corner. It's February 1st. It's a full-time intake, February 1st to April 29th. The webinars are Monday to Friday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And the next full-time intake starts February 22nd until May 19th. Monday to Friday again, but this is a morning program, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I'm going to speak very quickly regarding the tuition fees and the application fee. Please note that the application fee for a domestic student is $200 and $300 for international students. The tuition fee for a domestic student is $3,450 and $4,485 for international student, and the textbook fees are approximately $1,000. Again, I will leave you with my direct phone number at 604-891-1249 or my email at info@ashtoncollege.ca. I will be happy to answer any and all your questions and hope to hear from you soon. Thank you.
Thanks so much for that, Rita. With that, the floor is now open to questions from attendees. We have Maria working in the background to field those questions. Maria, is there anything coming in from Facebook or Zoom attendees?
Hi, Jake. Yeah, we have a question from Facebook that says, I'm changing careers and have no prior background experience. Am I still eligible to take this program?
You want me to answer that, Jake?
Yes, please.
Definitely. I would ask the participant that we have many students who have basically, for example, they've done something in healthcare and now they want to, venture out into accounting. So this is the ideal program to basically, for anybody wanting to start out in accounting, and you do not need prior accounting background.
Now, kind of piggybacking on that question, should you have a strong mathematical background before you enroll in this program?
According to me, Jake, I know people have always equated the two, but in my opinion, and from my more than 20 plus years experience in accounting and finance, you do not need a strong mathematical background to do accounting. That's my honest opinion.
Excellent. That's good to hear. Now, Maria, are there any other questions from Facebook?
That's all.
All right. Well, we're not getting anything from the Zoom audience, so I'll have one final question for you, Dilip, and that is if you have any final words of advice or any thoughts you'd like to share with anyone before we wrap this session up.
Right. All I want to say, to the potential students is, if you're thinking of, taking an introductory accounting course and you've been shopping around, then this is it. Like, do not think any further. Invest the 3 months of your time, and it could change your life. And at the end of the day, do not take my word or Jake's word for it. For example, go and find out, go to the websites, get information. And like I said earlier, get a sample of the recordings and see it for yourself. And like I said, 3 months is not a lot of time, lot to invest in terms of time and money. But this is something that you'll be grateful for if you take the plunge. So my advice, if you've been thinking about it for a while, please go ahead.
Thank you so much for that. That brings this session to a close. Now, one more time, if you have a question that we didn't get to in this session or something that you just thought of after the fact, you can reach us by email at info@ashtoncollege.ca, or you can phone us at 604-891-1249. We also have a toll-free line, which is 1-866-759-6006. Thank you all for joining us, and have a wonderful evening.